Hi, I'm Rosie from Rosie's Doll Clothes Patterns. Today I'm going to be continuing with part 3 of my video series where I've been showing you how to make simple alterations to my summer dress doll clothes pattern and create over a dozen different outfits for your doll. In part 1 and part 2 I showed you how to alter my summer dress pattern to make cute tops, change the look using lace and leaving off the trim, and also using pleats instead of gathers. Today I'm going to show you how to alter my summer dress pattern so that it has an additional layer of interest and becomes a sweet party dress like the one on my Cabbage Patch doll. Then I'll show you just how easy it is to alter the neckline to create totally new looks. So let's get started. So let's firstly have a look at how I changed my summer dress pattern into this sweet little party dress that I've got here. Now these are all the pattern pieces for the summer dress pattern. I've printed out the Cabbage Patch one this time, but the same thing applies if you're doing the 18-inch and American Girl pattern. Now with this one I didn't use either the trim around the waist or the hem trim, so we can pop those pieces to the side. What we do need is the bodice front, the bodice back, and the summer dress piece number 4, which is the skirt. And we also need to print out an additional one of piece number 4, part 1 of 2, because we're just going to glue that onto the end here to make the skirt piece longer. So let's just go ahead and do that. Take my glue stick and just put a little strip of glue down that edge. I'm doing it on the edge that's away from the one that says place on fold, because I want you to remember that this has to be placed on the fold when cutting the fabric out. Then just simply pop this one, the second one of these, over the top of your original one there. So there we go, we've added extra length. It's like an extra half the pattern again, and that gives us a lot more fullness in the skirt so that it sits out and looks a lot more frilly. So that's how we change the pattern piece. That's all we have to do to get the bottom part with a fuller skirt. So we go ahead and cut our pattern pieces out following the video instructions. Then we need to cut out the shorter piece for up here, the second layer. And to do that, all we do is fold our pattern piece in half. Sure that's close to half. Press that down, and again I'm going to just pop the place on fold symbol there, because we need to make sure that one end is placed on the fold again. So go ahead and cut out your second piece of fabric for the skirt in half the width that we used for the main skirt. So I'll just pop those pattern pieces to the side now and pull the fabric over. I'll just lay that out. So that's one piece, and then this is the thinner piece that we've got for the layer. Now with mine you can see that I've actually done a rolled hem on the edges. You can just do the normal straight hemming around both of these, but I've decided to be a little different and use my rolled hem stitch. Then all we need to do to make this variation is to go ahead and place some pins along here. And I forgot to bring my pins over. There we go. So pin those together with the raw edges together. Just a few pins along the top. Because what you're going to do then is go ahead and treat this as one piece of fabric. So following the instructions, you'll hem down the back of the skirt on both sides, and then after you've hemmed those ends, the videos tell you to run 2 rows of gathering thread along the top. So you just go ahead and do your 2 rows of gathering thread, and then pull it in, gather it, follow all the video instructions as they are normally. It's just that you've got the extra layer on the top. So it's really a super easy alteration to this pattern to create a totally different sweet little dress for your doll. So there you go, that's how I made my pretty little party dress. Simply cut out an additional piece of fabric, made the skirts a little bit longer to give more fullness, put them together and treated this one piece or these two pieces as one piece of fabric. Now let's have a look at how we can alter the neckline on my summer dress pattern to give your outfits different looks again. We've got the V neckline over here, the square neckline here, and I'm also going to show you how to stay with the curved neckline, but how we can actually lower that, cut that out a little bit so it's a little bit lower. Now let's have a look at what we need. We need our scissors, we need a pencil, ruler, and of course our pattern pieces. I've got one of my bodice back pieces here, and I've got 3 of the front because we're going to be altering it 3 different ways. Now the first thing we need to do is take the front bodice piece and fold that in half. We're folding it in half so that the side seams are together. I'll just go ahead and do that with all of my pattern pieces. That one I haven't quite got straight. There we go, that's close enough. Okay, now what we need to do is decide how far am I bringing this line down to create my V. I've had a look and I've thought maybe halfway down her armhole is where I'm going to bring my point of my V. So just holding my pencil across here, I'm thinking, yep, that's about halfway of my armhole. So I've put a little point there. Now that's probably about 1 inch. Yeah, that's about 1 inch or 2.5 centimeters down from the original neckline. Now what we're going to do is draw a line from the top of the neck at the shoulder point down to that mark I've just made down the front there. Okay, so now we just go ahead and take our scissors and cut along that line. Perfect. Now we can open that out, and that becomes our new bodice front piece for our V-neck pattern. And when you are sewing the bodice and the lining together, the only difference you need to do after you've stitched along those lines is, instead of doing little clips all along here like you do with the curved neckline, you need to make sure you have clip your fabric, your seam allowance, into the stitching line here, so that when you fold it out, that can open out and lay flat. So there you go, that's all you need to do to make the V neckline. The next one we'll have a look at will be how I make the square neckline. Now with this one, I'm actually going to take some out of the shoulder as well, so I'm going to make the neckline wider and in a square shape. So the first thing I need to do is mark a point in from the neckline here along the shoulder, 1/4 inch or 6 millimeters. Then I'm going to bring this down about 3/4 inch. No, sorry, I'm going to bring that down about 1 inch and in about 3/4. So again, like we did before, mark a point that's 1 inch down from the top, or 2.5 centimeters, and about 3/4 inch in. I'm going to rule a line there. Now 3/4 inch is about not quite 2 centimeters, centimeter and a half, around there is 3/4 inch. Then I join this line to that point here. So there we go, we've gone in 1/4 inch, we've gone down 1 inch, and I've come in 3/4 inch. Then what we need to do is cut along that pencil line, and that becomes my new bodice front piece. But because I came in and I've taken 1/4 inch out of my shoulder, I must do that to my back bodice as well. Otherwise, when I go to stitch, oh, I have an Aussie fly buzzing around, shoe fly. If we try to stitch that together, you'll see that there is an overlap and there's just won't work. So we need to take our back bodice piece, fold that in half, measure down, measure in from the neckline 1/4 inch or 6 millimeters. Then, because I want to keep that pretty much as it is, I just need to make my curve come down and join the original curve. So just use your pencil and little sweeping motions to bring that curve down and join the original one. Now, the best way to do your curves is to hold your hand down on the paper and do your curve around like that. If you try to do your curve this way, it's a lot harder to control and you don't get a nice smooth curve. But if you hold your pen and you go do your curve that way, your line is a lot smoother. That's just a little drawing technique that I've picked up. But anyway, take your scissors now and go ahead and cut that new curve out. And when you go to stitch your front bodice piece to your back bodice piece, you now have a shoulder piece that's the same length or width. Okay, so that's the square neckline. Now what we're going to do is still do a curved neckline, but we're going to lower it a little bit. So we're just going to decide, I think I'll take this down about 1/2 inch. This is also handy if you have a doll that has a bigger neck and you need to just adjust the neckline or the armhole to make it a little bit bigger to fit your bigger doll. So I've just made a mark about 1/2 inch down there, or about 12 millimeters. Then I'm just going to keep the original back piece, so I don't need to take any out of the shoulder. I'm just simply going to draw my line down, my new curved line down, till I get to my mark down here. So there you go. I've drawn a new curved line. Then I just take my scissors again and cut along that pencil mark. Open that out, and that'll be my new pattern piece for making the my new bodice front, for making a neckline that's a little bit more cut out. So there you go. There's a few more very easy alterations you can make to my summer dress doll clothes pattern to create new styles and outfits for your doll. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I look forward to having you join me for part 4, where I'm going to show you how to alter my summer dress doll clothes pattern to create a really striking dress using colour blocking. Until then, happy sewing everyone!